you're well and having the most incredible day. As always, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you all the books I read throughout August. However, I have slightly cheated because it is currently the 27th of August and I'm having to pre-film this simply because I'm very busy over the next few weekends, which hopefully you guys might see a few snippets of. I'm not too sure as of yet. And I have one book in here which I am nearly finished, and I'm going to include it in this because I will finish it this month, so I'm going to include it anyway. I hope you guys don't mind. I know it is slightly cheating, but I haven't had time to finish it over the past few days and I do want to include it in this video. So I have read 7 books this month, and I didn't read as many as last month. This wasn't a great book month for me. I think there was one book in this pile which I really did not enjoy, and it took me from Friday to Thursday to read, I think, or from Saturday to Thursday to read. It was really slow. I didn't like it. I will go into more detail about that book in a minute, but that really messed up my whole routine for reading, and it kind of put me in a little bit of a slump in the middle of the month, but I'm going to talk about that in a minute anyway. Without further ado, I am going to dive right in. I hope you guys enjoy. I would love to know down below what you've read this month, the books you loved, didn't love, all that kind of juicy stuff. So yeah, without further ado, we're going to dive right in. I hope you guys enjoy and carry on watching. So this month I decided to make notes on my phone. I don't know why I never thought about doing this previously, but this month I made notes on my phone of the books I've read and how many stars I wanted to give each book, and it also means now I know what order I've read each book in, so I can go through them in chronological order. So that is fab for me and great for you. So the first book that I read this month was All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. Now I really wanted to read and finish the Hopeless series over the last sort of 2 months, and I definitely did that. So spoiler alert, I finished the series. This book was actually really, really good. I gave it 4 stars, not 5. I think I've been giving books very, very high scores as of late, so I'm trying to be a little bit more picky with my scoring and a little bit more true to what I really feel about the books. So this one was a 4-star read. This is about a girl called Quinn and her partner Graham, and essentially I can't really remember the in-depth ins and outs of this book, like how it starts, but what I know is that they had a very sort of spicy relationship, and then they find out that, it's hard to say it without ruining the book, but both partners have a lot of stress on their shoulders. One does something which is very regrettable, if that makes sense. The other one has like a health thing. It's a very complex combo for their relationship, but it ties together the other Hopeless books perfectly, and I didn't realise how much so until I'd started reading the next book, which I'll go on to in a moment. But it was just a really lovely add-on to the series. It kind of gave a whole different storyline to fit in with the original books. I hope I'm explaining this right, but it was a really good book. I really think that if you're going to read Hopeless and Losing Hope, Finding Cinderella, you definitely need to read this as well, because it gives such a beautiful final addition to the series. Does that make sense? So I gave this one a 4 stars. It was really good. I would recommend it. It wasn't a book that I'd probably pick up on its own and read again, but it was a really good book and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was really well written. I loved the kind of the size of the book. It wasn't overly large. I think it was just about 300 pages. So it was a really easy read to do as well, and I love the cover. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. Really liked it. 4 stars. Would definitely recommend. The next book I read was the final one in the Hopeless series, and that is Finding Perfect. This book was so incredibly good. Again, I gave it 4 stars. This book was brilliant. It was only, I mean, just over 100, it wasn't even 100 pages, like 80 odd pages, 83 pages, and it tied the series together just beautifully. I read this in a day. It was really not hard to read at all. It was such an easy read, and it just tied everything together how I wanted it. It left me with no questions unanswered, and it was just a beautiful end to the series, and I really enjoyed it. So if you are umming and ahhing about reading the novellas and whether you need to read them in the series, I do really recommend it, simply because it just left me feeling really satisfied with how the story ended and all the characters and stuff. So yeah, I really loved it. I would really recommend it. Again, 4 stars for this one, and I do like it. I really love the kind of covers of these books too. They're really beautiful. The only thing again I don't like is that the two Hopeless books at the start of the series have like black covers, and they just don't like mesh well with these. You know, these look really nice, but other than that, beautiful series. Would definitely recommend it. Overall, I would say it was a definite 4.5 to 5 star series as a whole. But yeah, these both got 4 stars from me. Love them. The next book I read is a little bit of a different genre, and that is One of Us Is Next by Karen M. Mcmanus. Now, you guys know I absolutely adored One of Us Is Lying. It was a beautiful book, so well written. It kept me on my toes. I absolutely loved it. It is a series on Netflix, by the way. If you haven't seen it, give it a watch. But this book was really good. I would say it wasn't my favourite simply because it was a similar vibe, if you know what I mean. It was like a similar kind of story, I suppose. Not exactly the same, but I did really enjoy it. For that reason, I did give this one a 4 stars instead of a 5, only because I feel like when I read the first book, I was on my toes all the time. I was really kind of gripped to the story, wondering what was going on. This one was just a little bit similar in terms of the mystery behind it. It wasn't that anybody had got like necessarily killed or anything. I'm not going to ruin it because I don't want to give you any spoilers, but it was just a little bit different, and the ending was a bit disappointing. I was a bit disappointed to find out who and why and what, if that makes sense. So that was the only thing for me. I did love it. I loved the style of writing. I thought it was written beautifully, and it just kept me intrigued, just not as much as the first one. So that's why I give this one 4 stars. But essentially it is about a sister of one of the characters of the first book, and she's in school and there's a lot going on now with her as opposed to her sister. So I'm not going to say much more about it because I really don't want to spoil the book for you, but it is so good. If you haven't read it, I really, really recommend it. The series was great. I think it's just a 2-part series, and the other 3 or 4 books by Karen is like a completely different thing, as that's what I've heard, but I will be reading them in order anyway. But yeah, that is the next one. The next one I managed to get through was the Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I only just realised Christina Lauren is a 2-part co-author situation. It's not one person called Christina Lauren, so that opened my eyes, I'm not gonna lie. Now, this book I actually really enjoyed. So essentially, The Unhoneymooners is about a girl called Olive and a guy called Ethan, and Olive always has bad luck, but she ends up getting this dream vacation, but she has to go with a guy called Ethan, who is like an enemies to lovers kind of story, I suppose. And you can kind of see where this is going to go. They go on holiday hating each other, things happen, they grow closer and closer, and there are a lot of twists and turns in this book. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was such an easy read. It was a really good feel-good book, and the ending was just how I wanted it to end. It was a 5-star read for me. I would really recommend it if you want a nice like holiday read or just a book that's really enjoyable. Honestly, I did really like it. It's got a little bit of spice, but not too spicy. And it just is really, really great. I think it was written in, was it? Yeah, it's just written in Olive's perspective. I do love like a dual or more POV. I think it keeps me on my toes, and I really enjoy it, but this was just written in Olive's perspective, but I loved it. So a 5-star read for me for definite. If you have not read this book, please put it on your to be read list, even if it's for next summer. I just really loved it, and I would definitely read it again. So that is The Unhoneymooners. Love that. Next up, we move on to the book which caused my reading slump. Now, I read a book previously by this author which I really, really enjoyed, so please don't let this review mean anything about that. I absolutely loved her writing style. I really enjoyed the first book that I read. I think I even gave it like a 4 or 5 star. Like, it was a really, really good book. And I picked this book up on a whim simply because the front cover really intrigued me, and I didn't realise it was the same author as The Roommate, which I really enjoyed, which is Rosie Danan, and this is the book The Intimacy Experiment. I thought I was going to love this because I love a little bit of romance, I love a bit of spice. It's written in 3rd person. So firstly, 3rd person isn't my favourite. I don't know what it is. I think I can't connect to the characters as well, which is why I don't really like it. I feel like when you're speaking in 3rd person, it's, I don't know, it's not my favourite sort of style. However, this book was just so boring. Like, I don't want to be horrible because I absolutely love Rosie's other book, The Roommate. It was a really good read, and I would highly recommend it. And I think I did like it because it was a little bit more spicy than this one. But this book was just so blah. Now, skip forward a little bit if you don't want any spoilers, because I am going to talk about it briefly, but it's not worth the read in my opinion. I gave this 2 stars. Okay, this is the worst book I've read so far this year. I didn't like it. Essentially, it's about a girl and a guy, Ethan again, another Ethan, and Naomi. So Naomi is also in The Roommate, so it is kind of a follow-on from The Roommate. But Naomi, essentially, she's Jewish, she works as a porn star, she meets a guy called Ethan who turns out to be a rabbi, and they end up like falling in love, and then there's a lot of like issues with Naomi working there because she worked in porn. It was just so bizarre. so bizarre. I just didn't like it. It had no real plot twists. It had no gripping sections. It had no real saucy intimacy scenes. It was just dull and it was boring, and it took me 5 or 6 days to read. And I was reading like 4 pages and I was bored. And also the writing, it's so small. Like, I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's a very small sort of text book. And I really just did not like it. And I feel really bad about it because I hate not liking books because I feel guilty. But it's just not worth the read. You might like it. I did not. 2 stars for me. We're going to move on. The next book is a complete 5-star read for me. I absolutely loved it and I am going to buy the rest of the series, and that is Twisted Love. I loved this book. It has spice, it has romance, it has plot twists. It was just so good. I just absolutely loved it, and it is dual POV again, which I adore because I feel like you get to see so much more depth of characters when it is dual POV, so I loved it so much. This book was incredible. I read it in 2 days. It was just beautiful. So if you haven't read these, I really recommend them. They are quite spicy, so do bear in mind if you don't particularly like spice in your books, I wouldn't bother reading this because there are some scenes in this that are a little bit like, do you know what I mean? So that is the only thing, but I really, really love this book. So 1,000,000 out of 10. If you haven't read this, give it a go. And if you know any books that are similar to this that you think I would enjoy, please let me know. I always have my Amazon wish list down below, which has got all the books I want to buy in it, and it is constantly filling up. So if you guys want to check out what I am wanting to read, do have a little scroll through that. But if you have any recommendations as well, I would absolutely love to know. So yeah, this was amazing. A 5-star read. I don't know whether... I'm going to tell you a brief bit about it. So it's about a girl called Ava and a guy called Alex. Alex is Ava's brother's best friend. Ava's brother goes to work away. He volunteers somewhere, so he's out of the picture. And Ava and Alex, essentially enemies to lovers, brother's best friend vibe. That's what I'm going to say. But they both have a past. They both come together, and it is a good book. So many twists. The only thing actually that I didn't particularly love is I feel like when... If you've read this book, you'll know, but in sort of near towards the end of the book, there is a very big plot twist, but I feel like it came around too quickly. Does that make sense? It was almost like, oh, by the way, blah, 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 and then it was moved on. That was the only thing. I wanted to see a little bit more detail into that, but I loved it. It was great. 5 stars. Incredible. And the last book that I read in August is The Honey Don't List by, again, Christina Lauren. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this is the one I haven't finished. I am so close to finishing it, but I am gonna mention it in this video because I will finish it within the next couple days, so don't worry about that. I might even finish it tonight, to be honest. So I'm putting it in this video anyway, but this is about Carrie and James. They are both assistants to 2 authors slash famous people that are on Netflix and that kind of vibe. Like, they're kind of a bit of everything, and they're both assistants to the husband and the wife. The husband and the wife aren't necessarily as happy as they may seem up front, and they go on a book tour, and it's about Carrie and James, how they become close. I haven't finished it. So far it is a 4-star read, so if you want any updates on this, follow me on Instagram, give me a message, I'll let you know how I find it. But this is so far a 4-star read for me. I think it will probably end on a 4-star read, unless something spectacular happens towards the end, but it's a really easy book to read. It is a really good one. Again, it is a dual POV, which I just love so much, and there is a bit of spice. So yeah, that's what I'm currently reading. I'm putting it in this video anyway. 4 stars. So that is everything for my August what I read video. I really hope you guys did enjoy. As per always, please leave me a comment down below letting me know what you read, what you loved, what you didn't, what you think I should read, and I would absolutely love to know. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I love you guys so much. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!